My name is Hallie Allen, and I'm a graduating senior from North Carolina A&T State University.
Have you ever heard of the stew pot theory or hegemony or together?
No.
Okay, so I'll explain it to you.
My interpretation of the stew pot theory would just be to have, I guess, a main way or a repetitive way of doing things based on a dominant group of people, such as Caucasians in America, and then using the cultures or the repetition of the certain way you do things in other cultures and kind of taking that and using it as your own. My interpretation of hegemony would be something like PWIs versus HBCUs as far as the philosophy that we give it in the United States. It's like although we have peers that go to PWIs, or although like we're all on the same level when it comes to our education, us obtaining our education from a historically black college or university is still looked down upon. So when we go to apply for the same type of jobs in the real world, now we're going to be second guessed, but as far as like the caliber of education and the resources that we have at HBCUs, it's not taking in a larger account in comparison to a PWI. I can definitely say now that we've discussed it, I've noticed it, but I guess just not necessarily knowing what to call it or how to classify it. I think as long as you're African American living in a country where like you're going to be the minority regardless, you can't help but notice it. Whether it comes to our culture, our education, where we work, how we live, you can't like get around it. So I would definitely say that I've noticed it. The optimistic part of me wants to say yes. You know, you can make a change anywhere that you see fit if you work hard enough for it, but with our country's history or just the influences that are so heavy within our society, it will be very, very hard. So yes, because it's possible to change, but as far as anytime soon, I think it'll be very, very hard to witness.
I think um, one of my decisions was not based on the population as rather than what I felt they offered and what would go along with your personality and your character, and the things that I did not totally agree with early childhood education in the public schools. Um, well, with middle school and high school, it was where we lived. But I wanted you to have the experience, of course, on a, a different side. No, because the the curriculum is the same. If you go to a school in a predominantly white area for middle school, the curriculum is supposed to be the same as in a predominantly black school. Hopefully, it would get better. Realistically, not sure in the next 10, 15 years. It still has to do with culture, where you're raised, how you're raised. One of the things that I have observed from friends that I've had, uh, being from the continent of Africa, is that when they come over, they seem to assume a superior, real forceful, dominant personality. he's not wrong because that is what he brings. However, the adaptation he needs to acquire. I mean, he may think that he doesn't need to acquire because he is here. So he doesn't need to acquire or, transform himself or his superior complex or whatever. He might feel he doesn't need to because that's where he is and that's where he's been. So coming to another country, it doesn't translate well. Adapting to me seems more like a willingness, and conforming sounds more to me like I gotta do it.
Well, thank you again for your thoughts.
All right, little girl.